Okay, HMR here. What's one of the most difficult things, if not the most difficult thing, for people with codependency when you have a person with BPD in your life in any relationship type, or that significant other, or that ex now, and you're still in a world of hurt, agony? Some people really do hurt kind of for the rest of their life over these just crashed, smashed, ruptured relationships. Well, one of the most, I think, painful things, which comes out of codependency, and people aren't consciously doing this, but this idea that somehow, you can rescue them or fix them or change them, or that you can get them into therapy so all of those changes and things that you'd like to see happen to make the relationship work, maybe could happen. As I've said before, one of the problems with that is it takes years and years and years for most people. And if they're really going to grow significantly and heal from BPD, which is possible, it's going to take 8 to 16 years and probably closer to the 12 to 16 year range in a psychodynamic modality of treatment. DBT is not, to the best of my knowledge, I keep waiting for somebody to come along and correct me, not a recovery modality. It's a really skilled symptom management modality. And even though some people can do really well in DBT with BPD, not all do by a long shot, and then learn how to weaponize kind of the skills, or some skills that they sort of heard about because they weren't really paying attention. But so for people with codependency, does that person with BPD really have to know that you highly suspect, based on all their behaviors and patterns, that they have BPD in order to be able, if they ever choose to go and get their own help, professional help, to reach out for help? No, they don't have to know that at all. So this is one thing I just like to really stress for people right now, is that, I work with so many clients here, and I have for almost 33 years now. Many clients saying, well, I just want to recontact him or her to tell him or her that he or she has BPD. Because, they need to know, right? Because they deserve to know. Because, how are they going to get help if they don't know? Well, let me just share a little thing from my past, many moons ago, many decades ago now. When I first sought help, because I was living in a narcissistic dysfunctional family of origin from where, as they're all from kind of where, aren't they? Somehow. And I was even younger, okay, but 13, 14, I was just, the anxiety and the panic and the never knowing when I was going to be scapegoated again and all kinds of things going on. So bottom line is, I find a way to get both my parents were narcissists with their different comorbidities, and both were alcoholics. And they were totally against therapists, doctors, lawyers, teachers. I used to hear this when I was 6, 7 years old. Doctors, lawyers, therapists, other professions I can't remember now. They're all full of crap. That's what they would just say, I didn't know why. So I had to do the best I could, but frankly, I just got a tad bit hysterical. For real. I wasn't kidding. I had a lot of tears, was really afraid. I had a lot of fear mounting around the age of 14, 15, which a lot of it was already what I had experienced, at a younger age, but I didn't know that then. So I went to the first psychologist I ever saw at the age of 15, and would work with that person briefly, because then it was I was finishing grade 12 and about to move to another city to go to university. But as soon as I did move to that other city, I found another mental health professional to work with. I'm not sure if it was a psychologist. I know that I got kind of in the root of psychiatry, but I got out of there in a hurry. Because even back then in 1975, they wanted everybody to, take the meds. And I was like, But anyway, so I went to a psychologist when I was 15 because I was in that much distress. And I didn't know what was going on. And really what rose for me at that time was a tremendous, unbelievable kind of obsession with a fear of dying. And so I just couldn't quell the anxiety or the panic. And so I did that. And then the second thing I'd like to tell you is, like, I was never accurately diagnosed for BPD, but I'm not trying to walk everything back I've ever talked about by any means. But I was labeled with it, not really assessed. But, were they in the ballpark? Sure. Did I have it full blown? I doubt it. Did I have all the traits? No. That's for sure. So I was, like, fortunate in that regard, right? But what was the other thing I was going to share? So there was that, and then there was when I went, I've lost my train of thought here. So yeah, I first went at the age of 15 to see a psychologist, like I said. Didn't have a clue why. Oh, yes, this other thing that happened. So I ended up getting into some further therapy. Like, I was seeing somebody when I moved to the city where I went to university, and I left home at 17 to do that because I wanted to heck away from those people, among other things. And I wanted to live where I wanted to live, like not where they were moving around all the time because of my father's job. So the thing is that I would be talking to my doctor at the time about some issues, but generally just like not much that was psychological. But I guess he was kind of cluing into I had, some problems. And then I was seeing a social worker at the same time. And this is all really, maybe I heard the word BPD because a psychiatrist threw it at me in a really irresponsible way. Like, we can't help you, you have BPD, get out of here kind of thing. It was a little more specific with the directions and get out of here, but that's what he meant. He wanted me to go somewhere else, and I was like, I'm not going there. So anyway, because at the age of 17, I already knew, no, that's something else, and I'm not crazy. That's all I knew. So I was seeing a social worker who was doing some different method of work with me where I wasn't allowed to talk, and I had to draw pictures. And the thing about that was, I guess I like to talk, not always, but sometimes. And then, especially in therapy, I like to talk, when I was in therapy decades ago. But I can't draw. Like, I'm stick people in the sun, and here's kind of a river, So that wasn't feeling so good for me. And then somehow the doctor and the social worker, I forget which one asked me first, but I think they each asked me at one point or another, close together, my family doctor or my GP, because I didn't come with a family at the time, and the social worker. They each wanted me to sign forms for them to talk to each other. So I did. I didn't know what that was about. And the next thing you know, this is funny. I'm not going to tell the whole story, but there was another reason why I wanted a different kind of appointment. And I thought I was going somewhere else for a different kind of an appointment. Not anything to do with, therapy, psychology, what's my problem today kind of thing. So they kind of I don't know if I just had the wrong idea, but I think I asked for a different kind of an appointment. And they, I think, played along with me. They tricked me and they fooled me. And normally I would not trust that. I would split the value somebody who did that. I'd be like, you're out of my life. I don't talk to you anymore. But somehow they did this. And I just kind of went, oh. Because what happened was I thought I was going to a different kind of appointment. It's not a big deal, but I just rather not share here. So, and then I'm waiting for this person to talk about what I thought the appointment would be about. And they're I don't know what they're talking about, right? And so that goes on for about 20 minutes, and finally this person says, what do you think I'm talking about? And I mentioned the other kind of appointment. I was looking for a story to be a little bit vague there. And they said, well, no, we don't look into any of those services or any of that. I don't even remember what it was now, but I kind of do, but I wouldn't know how to explain it. But it wasn't anything nefarious or, you know what I mean. So, or illegal or anything like that. So she said, no, I'm talking to you here about coming into, it was a different therapy program that I did get into, earlier on, besides the one where the last 3 years of my work, and I healed and recovered. And so it was the social worker and the doctor pulled a fast one there. And I think I'm going somewhere else for some other reason. And I'm sitting there being asked if I'll go to this group thing. And by the way, GBT wasn't invented then, I'm happy to say, because it wouldn't have been my cup of tea. Just saying. So anyway, did anybody say anything to me in either of those examples about that I had borderline personality disorder, even though I think a psychiatrist had already thrown the label at me, but I didn't know what he was talking about. And in 1975, there was no internet. For those of you who aren't sure, maybe, if you're young, there was no internet, there was no books, there was no, like, all this information about, and a lot of the misinformation, about BPD and whatnot. So, you know, I was wanting to find the real me. I didn't know why I knew that, or how I knew that. But so when the social worker and the doctor kind of pulled this thing on me in a way, but to help me, right? And I went into that other group at that point in time, like when I was like maybe 19, something like that, 20. I think more like 19. I said, yeah, I guess so. And I'm like, what is this going to be about? Forgetting, by the way, what the psychiatrist had thrown those 3 letters at me, right? Like one in one ear and out the other, because there was no reference for that back in 1975. So I just thought, well, okay. And so then I go into another therapy situation where I don't have a diagnosis of BPD yet, or I don't know what they're thinking. But I never got a diagnosis, I got labeled. But the bottom line is I didn't know what was going on at all. I just knew that I hurt. I knew that not much in my life was working. I was doing well at school, but I was having problems, relating to people or trusting people and some of those issues, and then some. And the point is, I wouldn't figure out, go back to those 3 letters that shrink said. And when I was like about 17, I think 17, 18, BPD, for like years. But I kept on going to therapy, and I kept on getting help, and I kept on growing and changing and making some things better in my life, dealing with these sort of anxiety and panic that I had, as well as, like, I didn't have a lot of other things going on, like addictions or anything like that. So the bottom line is, I'm really just here, I share all that just to say how important it is for you out there, if you're still trying to rescue, if you've gone no contact, you're trying to take care of yourself, you want to talk to that borderline ex because, well, they gotta know, right? No, they don't. Because the day when they hurt too much, the day when they've lost too many people out of their lives, or a day when they might have some awareness, which is a lot of awareness impairment in BPD, and the more severe people have it for sure, and if they're using substances, etc. But they need to recognize something being really wrong, or want to get to a point of doing something about their suffering and their pain. Because the bottom line is, it doesn't matter what it's called, or if you tell them or not. Like, it's not recommended that you tell anybody that. It never goes well, like rarely ever. And the thing is, so people don't really need your help to tell them that you think that they have BPD. Because that's not going to make them go to therapy any quicker than if they don't know that, or they suspect that, or in today's world, they could watch whatever videos, they could look at like all kinds of articles and blogs and go, I wonder. And then maybe go see somebody. But if they're not of the mind to reach out to get help, when they still really, truly do experience everything as being everybody else's fault, there's nothing anybody can do about that. And I say that, with great empathy, knowing that a lot of people really don't want to hear that. A lot of people still want to keep on working to get that information to them and to tell them. And they don't need to know if they truly want help. And so I hope that might help somebody today to think about this differently. And I shared a bit of my experiences to let you know that, yeah, I didn't have like full-blown BPD probably, 4 strong traits, but I was labeled. And that was what we worked with, and I'm not saying I didn't have any of those issues. I did. I just didn't have all of the issues that a lot of people today with most of the traits or all of the traits that BPD are having and going through. But that didn't mean I had BPD light in the sense that I wasn't going through a lot and didn't understand any of it. And I would have my awareness points and such, which I feel really blessed about. But, but I was always taking them to therapy, because a person with BPD who can have an intellectual awareness moment, like, aha, like, I think this and I think that, which happened to me many times in my late teens and early 20s and throughout therapy. If I wasn't going to therapy to take forward those moments of some awareness, which was hard, probably more intellectual than emotional at the time, I wouldn't have got anywhere with it. Because, all the high intellect that is in many people with BPD, and for people with codependency, it's not going to be your intellect that's going to get you out of this. Not going to be your intellect that helps you to heal, whether it's codependency or for people with BPD. It's going to be what people can action in awareness and learning and understanding in the case of codependence or people with BPD. Not that it's the same process, and then it's about working with someone, and I'm out here to work with you if I resonate with you, to really look at and become more aware. You may know a lot already in your head and logically, especially people with codependency who've been, so you're trying to survive the BPD relationship breakup. But a lot of the work I do with clients is really helping them get in touch with their emotions. And emotions going back to family of origin, and emotions from really young ages of times of woundedness that created the codependency. Because one thing I like to make clear here too is codependency really is like the recipe that leads people to cluster Bs. And obviously it's an unconscious thing that happens there. Then it's so painful, and then it triggers your codependency even more. And people are just in worlds of hurts trying to rescue the borderline, because the codependent repetition compulsion cycles, as I've said before, are about externalizing out to try to help somebody else so you can feel okay. But so many people learn that unfortunate, like what's not healthy to learn, by having to, being parentified by a parent and needing to take care of their feelings and emotions, and to the detriment of your own. And then that's a role reversal, not healthy. So a lot of people with codependency think, if I could just fix this other person, then I could be okay. But the good news is, the bad news is you can't fix anybody else. But the good news is you can get into a process of healing recovery to change your life. And you can know yourself better. And you can heal anything that you set your mind to heal. And so you need to learn how to focus on you instead of the borderline or the narcissist or whoever it might be. So just know, people with BPD do not need you to tell them that you highly suspect it, or if they've been diagnosed and it's a known thing and they're in denial. They don't need you to tell them, because if they were going to get help, if they were going to reach out, as many people do but so many don't, they would do that, whether they knew what it was or what you suspect it is or not. So just another reason why codependents can kind of look at, getting into your own healing recovery process so that you don't have to try to be so caught up in them. But then what's scary about that for people with codependency? Then you're going to have to focus on yourself. Then you're going to have to focus on your own pain. Then you're going to have to learn in a process of healing recovery how to stop avoiding and abandoning yourself. Because most people with codependency, somewhere along the line in their childhood, experienced abandonment, betrayal, enmeshment, collusion, or parentification, all of which doesn't stop, but interferes massively with your becoming an individuated individual who can make your own choices without feeling like you have to save somebody else before you can help yourself out. So I hope that was helpful. And as always, take care.